What? This isn't a game. This is a mod of a game. It counts, okay? This abomination is absolutely large enough to count as a whole game. I could click around the menus for like 15 whole minutes and still get lost in some place I never knew existed. Like, what even is this screen for? I don't understand. None of the buttons even do anything. And the devs just keep updating it. If you've never played Plants vs. Zombies, you gotta get on that. And then after you get on that, you need to play this. PvZ Fusion. You can fuse the plants. Not all of them, but definitely enough to the point where you'll never dream of keeping track of what they all do. Like this little guy right here. Doom Shroom Scaredy Shroom Fusion. Same damage as a normal Scaredy Shroom, except for the longer he stays on the lawn and attacks, his fire rate keeps going faster and faster and faster until it maxes out at like 6 times faster than normal. But then once he's at that speed, if a zombie gets close to him, he freaking blows up instantly, and you don't have him anymore. But if you put a Scaredy Shroom Pumpkin Fusion on him, then he doesn't explode when the zombies get close, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, if you put a Doom Shroom Pea Shooter Fusion specifically on the tile directly in front of this guy, then the Pea Shooter gains the attack speed of the Scaredy Shroom, and the Scaredy Shroom gains the damage of the Pea Shooter, and they will obliterate everything. That was just me describing how one plant works and its interactions with other plants. And most of the plants are about as complicated as that, if not more so. So try keeping track of like 1,000 of these. Starfruit with a planter. Now he's got homing stars. Spikeweed with the ice shroom. Now he's got the slowing effect. Cabbage pult with the fume shroom. Now he plays tennis. Sunflower with a sea shroom. Now he's overpowered. Jalapeno with a melon pulp. Now he's even more overpowered. Pea shooter with a chomper with a walnut with another chomper with a cherry bomb and then a garlic on top of all that. Now I actually don't know what this guy does, but he looks pretty cool. Some of the fusions aren't totally balanced, but like, hey, the zombies aren't really balanced either. This guy, hate that guy. Blows up your whole defense, and they introduce him in level 7. During the day levels, the new dancing zombie spawns in 4 pole vaulters, and then when they jump over a plant, they spawn more. Oh my god, stop! I can't deal with this, just like emotionally. Difficulty slider, speed slider, pretty cool. Best part of the mod though, hands down, you don't have to collect the sun. The sun collects itself. They are beating the carpal tunnel allegations. You'll probably be able to maintain your sanity playing through this mod in adventure mode, but I definitely gave up beating all the side modes because there's just way too many of them. Now you too can forgo level design and just punch through all the walls until you get banana. Unless you hit this stuff, you kinda can't break that. But like, you can break a lot of stuff in this game. And then the cool part is you zoom out and look at the map of the area and it updates to have all the holes you made in the map. Am I crazy for thinking that's cool? That's at least kinda cool. Donkey Kong wants to journey to the center of the earth so that he can make a wish at this golden thing and get unlimited bananas, because that's really all Donkey Kong cares about at the end of the day. Wife and kids? Nah, bananas, bro. Oh yeah, little Pauline's there too. At first I thought she was really annoying, but she's cool. She can chill. Bananas. Every different like world is supposed to be like a layer deeper into the Earth's crust, but like, you're telling me this is underground? Cap. Every 5 Banandium gems you pick up, you get a skill point. Skill tree in my Donkey Kong game. You can get kind of sick with it when you're just like moving around. If you want to get over a big gap, hit him with one of these. Or you could just like turn into an ostrich and fly across, I guess. I hope you don't mind a bit of sensory overload, because that's kind of what you're signing up for when you play this. I'm gonna have to give this game 2 gold medals. One for worst camera of all time, and one for pretty good camera, surprisingly, considering the circumstances. I'm big on palette swaps in a game. Smash Bros, Kirby Squeak Squad, Hat in Time, love it. You can get colors for Donkey Kong's fur, and you can also customize his and Pauline's clothes. The clothes have some like stat boosts with them, so it's less like wear whatever you want and more like you should probably wear this. But for Pauline, I don't care what the optimal thing is to wear. The little elephant raincoat is so cute on her, I refuse to let her wear anything else. Kirby Air Ride. Wait, no, this isn't the right game. So basically, let's pretend most of these modes don't exist, because all my homies play City Trial. Kirby roguelike racing game. What will they think of next? Wait, you can wear a hat? I love how insane it feels when you get near the end of the match, and you have so many stat boosts that you're going like 100 miles an hour on the whole map, desperately trying to maintain control of your vehicle, while at the same time trying to collect even more stat boosts that make it even harder to control yourself. Then at the end, when the time runs out, they show you all the power-ups you collected, and if your stat total at the end is high enough, it can go off the screen. You could have just made the bars a little smaller, but going off screen just has more aura to it. There's a bunch of different vehicles you can find around the city called stars. Shoutouts to my goat, the Swerve Star. Love this thing. A pretty cool thing is that instead of having to get off your star and get onto a new one like in the original, you can just boop, now I'm on a new star. Or if someone else is low enough health, you can kick them off their star and steal it. There's a vehicle customization mode. You can put all sorts of random patterns and stickers and stuff on your stars. Or you can just be lazy and download the stuff that other people make. Checklist, also known as very niche achievements. Sometimes they'll hit you with something you would never do on accident. Like, race on the Steam Gust Forge while riding as Lo and La on the Transform Star, and don't quick spin and finish before 1 minute and 35 seconds. I'm thinking air riders just might be the #1 cause of motion sickness in current year. Like, geez. But there's like 5 whole pages of settings, so you can probably tune it to the point where you can deal with it. There'll be random events that happen around the city sometimes. Most of them are cool, but some of them are just like, your machine can now fly more easily. And those are dumb. I still think it would have been cool if the city trial map from the original Air Ride was in this game, but the new one is still really good. And Sakurai said no DLC in this game, he promises. Air Ride and Top Ride, we don't have in the budget to talk about those. It's just like racing and then different racing from top down. Let's go to Road Trip. Road Trip is like the story mode-ish kind of deal. It was like kind of longer than I expected it to be and shorter than I expected it to be at the same time. Don't ask me what I mean by that because I don't know how to explain. As per your Kirby standard, the story is some Lovecraftian nightmare. There's some sentient machine that's been unable to move for thousands of years, and this giant cat thing in space is like, I will grant you one wish. And he's like, I just want to be able to move so that I can roam free and have a lovely time exploring the world. And Space Cat's like, yeah bro, I got you, yeah, for sure. So here's 1 million mechanical spiders, and they're gonna rip you apart from the inside out, and use the core of your being to build a machine to suck up the energy from every single vehicle in a 20,000 mile radius, and use their power to shatter the very planet that we stand on. Normal difficulty in Road Trip isn't too bad, but New Game Plus, Ultra Spicy, Impossible, whatever it's called difficulty, made me want to commit some felonies. Kinda iffy on Road Trip. Basically, just play City Trial. That's where it's at. Mario Kart World is not as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Alright, speedrun review, because I'm allocating 80% of this game's time to listening to music. The open world is cool, but if you want to 100% it, you're gonna have to Google the P-switch locations. I wish the items didn't automatically trail behind you in this game. The costumes are kinda cool, but it makes the character select screen look disgusting, and the Baby Luigi costumes stink. The courses that they chose are pretty good, but anything that isn't the 96 courses from 8 Deluxe is gonna feel like a little bit of a disappointment. I need 200cc in this game, like I need it yesterday. Please. The driving between the courses segments would be so much more fun with 200cc. Boom, whoa, cool transition. It's been like a week since I recorded that last part. Also, I'm outside now. What was I talking about? How come I have to drive all the way to Toad's factory, and then we only do one lap of it? The driving between segments are like the whole race. Feels anticlimactic. I wouldn't be as critical of the in-betweens if we actually got to spend a decent amount of time on the courses. Doing rail grinding and wall tricks is dope, but I don't think there's a single course that ever like requires you to do them. It kind of makes wall driving feel like it's like elitist, especially because it's like surprisingly difficult for new players to get a grasp on how to jump onto the walls. Day one when this game came out, unlocking characters was stupid, but I think they put out a patch that made it easier to do at some point. Still a very fun Mario Kart, just a litany of little issues that pile up, and I would rather play 8 Deluxe. Anyways, best part of the game is the music. You got Airship Fortress that goes like... Then you got Toad's Factory going all... This is part on Crown City where the song goes... And then as you're driving up to Boo Cinema, there's a part like... You gotta get your Wiimote safety strap on for this one. And they even have songs from courses that aren't even in this game. Coconut Mall. They got Waluigi Pinball, and they like slowed it down so it's like a vibe. The often forgotten Mushroom City. They have Baby Park, and it's a rave for some reason. I don't even know how many songs are in this game. They got songs in here that aren't even Mario Kart songs. They got the Purple Coin Comet from Galaxy. They got New Super Mario Bros. Wii Volcano. They've got the song from the title screen in Mario 64. It's awesome, and it will inevitably be used as YouTuber outro music. My goat, Piranha Creeper Creek? What I'm saying is that I like the music. Did I convey that? Okay, next game. Dang, we're kind of spending a long time talking about the games these days. Let's try and make this next one a little shorter. Oh gosh, maybe not. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like the weapon durability mechanic, but to be honest, I didn't really find it to be a big deal. They spend basically the whole game just showering you with weapons. You usually have to worry more about having too many weapons than having too few. And you never have to worry about bow durability. From the moment I got my first bow, I don't think there was ever a moment I was thinking, man, a new bow would really hit the spot right about now. But what you do have to worry about is arrows. I wish it was easier to get arrows. They really front load you with the gaining new abilities in Breath of the Wild. You start in this area called the Great Plateau, and for the first couple hours you explore around and they give you a bunch of awesome abilities. And then after you get all the abilities, they're like, okay, here's a glider. Now you can glide off the plateau and start exploring everywhere else on the map. So this is the plateau that you spent the last 4 hours exploring, and here's the rest of the map. Go wherever you want. But, like, you should probably go here for some lore. Calamity? Oh, cool, an island over there. Let's go over, and they took every single one of my items away. You can be walking around and just be seeing stuff for real. Or you'll just be minding your own business, then like, whoa, what the heck, that's a freaking dragon. When did he get there? The game doesn't go, oh my gosh, look, it's a dragon. Sometimes they're just there, bro. There's like 3 of them around the map, and they're surprisingly sneaky for being giant dragons. There's 4 main regions of the map, and the first one I went to was the desert, which maybe wasn't the best idea, because I think the desert was the hardest area in the whole game, but maybe it just felt like that because it was the first place I went, and I had hardly any health upgrades, and I didn't really know how to play the game that well. And I think there's some first area bias involved, but the desert was my favorite area by a long shot. And Riju is just adorable. Girl, that helmet is way too big for your head. Maybe I just think short people are cute. Except for you, you disturb me. It was pretty sweet beating the desert first, because they give you this helmet that just lets you tank freaking lightning bolts for the rest of the game. And lightning comes up more than you might think. This made some areas way easier than they would have been otherwise. There's like 1 trillion shrines or whatever, and they're mostly pretty cool, even if they all look like almost exactly the same if you just look at some random screenshots of them. Some of them have some cool puzzles, but a decent amount of them are just like, hey, beat this one guy, which is kind of boring. But you know what's not boring? All this other random stuff that you can do scattered around the map. Like you can dye your clothes, you can play bowling with a giant rock, you can play golf with a giant rock, you can do the worst horse racing minigame of all time, you can shield surf down the mountain to get the fastest time possible, or take a picture of every single weapon, shield, bug, animal, enemy, and plant to fill the compendium. I got an unhealthy amount of joy taking pictures of things to fill the compendium. I got the freaking Master Sword, and my first thought was, well, I mean, I gotta get a picture of this thing for my scrapbook. Whenever you see a bunch of enemies, you can do like whatever you want. Blow them up, shoot the arrow at the thing, make the thing fall, blow it up, beat them up with the sword, shove a boulder down the hill, crush the guys, jump off them, whatever. You can do like anything. Bosses aren't too hard. If you die, it's usually just from some random enemy that looks exactly the same as all the other enemies, except this guy is holding an OP weapon, so when he hits you, he takes out like 95% of your health bar. Or you might just get one shot by a guardian. Those guys are kind of scary. Or you might just kill yourself. That happens a lot too. I got similar vibes playing this as when there's something I want to do in Minecraft. For example, get fireworks for my Elytra. I could get gunpowder the lame way. Or I could build a creeper farm, which is way cooler. But if I want to do that, I'm gonna need a bunch of redstone, and I'm gonna need some cats. And I basically have like no redstone, so I gotta go into the mine, I gotta get some more. I'm also kind of low on food, so before I go there, I should probably go to the animal pen. Okay, you see where this is going? I have to do this thing, before I can do this thing, before I can do that thing, before I can do the thing that I actually want to do. And God forbid you take a break from playing this game. You're gonna have such a hard time remembering what it is you want to do next, and what you've already done, and where that one specific place is that you wanted to go, and what all the freaking buttons do. I think I found 105 of the 120 shrines. Yeah, sorry, there's not 100 trillion shrines or whatever I said earlier. 105 out of 120. Pretty good, right? Seems like I explored most of the map, except there's these random little collectibles all over the place called Korok seeds. And when I say all over the place, I am not joking. Suspicious looking rock? Pick it up, Korok seed. Glowy green stuff? Walk over there, boom, Korok seed. Jump into the water? Korok seed, why not? I got somewhere in the vicinity of 300 Korok seeds. Somewhere around that. And you know, I felt pretty good about that. I thought I'd probably been like 75% thorough when looking for them. Which, since I'd gotten 300, that would mean there were still 100 entire Korok seeds out there that I didn't find. And I was thinking, wow, that kind of sounds crazy. Like, how did I manage to miss that many? Except, no. I did not miss that many. Somehow, I missed an entire 600 of these godforsaken things. 600? Where are they? How could I walk across this entire map and miss 600 of anything? It's impossible to 100% this game without a guide. Like, I know you can do it, theoretically, but let's be realistic here. Even with a guide, it's probably pretty annoying. Still had a lot of fun playing, just don't go for every Korok seed. Jarvis, crash the Steam servers. Whoa, man. Can you believe this game actually came out? I know this guy can't. I swear I've been seeing people say, "Where's Silksong?" for like 10 years. I know it hasn't actually been 10 years, but that's what it felt like. For my first couple hours, I was getting so many abilities so quickly, it was kind of making me think, like, dang, maybe this is like the shortest game of all time. Then I remembered at the start of the game that hit me with a screen that said, Act 1. And I still hadn't seen a screen that said Act 2, so yeah, it turns out the game's pretty long. But it's a good thing that you get so many abilities so quick, because at the start, it's kind of like, maybe this game sucks. But then you get the run ability, and you're like, okay, they were cooking with this one. You get you can float around like you're Princess Peach. Getting the wall jump, oh my gosh, the world has never been so oyster. But for my money, the claw line is definitely the sickest thing you get. You can use it to just like get a quick burst of speed. You can use it to jump off these floating ring things. You can grapple onto the wall. You can grapple onto the enemies, like your Byleth from the hit game Super Smash Bros. It feels so slick. It feels like I just cheated that guy out of his hit points. It's awesome. The story in Act 1, get to the top of the kingdom. How? I don't know, just get there. The story in Act 2, get to the top of the kingdom. How? Elevator. But the elevator wants you to learn a song before it lets you on. And when I say learn a song, I mean, I didn't learn squat. Hornet learned a song. All I did was hold X. Wait, a song? Guys, do you think there's some deeper meaning here? This game also has a fake credit sequence, like some other games I know. Oh god, not this again.
You'd think the Lord of the Underworld would be too busy for mischief making.
Oh no, making mischief is one of my principal responsibilities.
This game universe and that game universe have nothing to do with each other. So don't go around spreading rumors.
Me? I would never.
Go home, Hades.
Anyways, yeah, fake credits. There is an Act 3, except it's hidden behind some secret ending requirement that I don't even really remember how to activate. I just know it involves doing a lot of side quests. The story in Act 3, everyone's dead and it's your fault, and now you have to go into some ancient dead people's memories and like rip their hearts out or something. When I first saw this game's healing mechanic, I was like, wow, that seems really OP. You stay still for like 1 second, you can even do it in the air, and then you get 3 health back. What the heck? Turns out they kind of balanced the game around the heal being OP. The game is hard. In the first game, attacks that dealt 2 masks worth of damage to you were like rare. And whenever you got hit by an attack from an enemy that did 2 damage, you were like, okay, dang, this guy is for real. But in Silksong, brother, Joe freaking Schmo does 2 damage to you. Do not let this game catch you slipping. They will kick your butt. Sometimes they just make you take damage as a practical joke. Having a nice stroll? Boom! Spike ball, you should have been ready for that. Wanna sit on this bench to get your health back? Oh, nope, spike trap, you're dead. Finally killed that boss that took like forever to beat? Yeah, well, turns out he actually blows up when you beat him, so you should have stood further away and maybe you wouldn't have died. Artificial difficulty, you say? Maybe you just have to... Instead of having normal charms like the first game, there's a whole, like, crest system. And you can swap to the different crests, and it changes all of your needle attacks. Like, there's one that has a wider swing that's slower, there's one that's got a smaller swing that's way faster. Instead of having the normal down attack that goes like this, you put it on a different crest, and maybe it goes like... And the crests have different slots for tools, so you can basically just Smash Brothers custom move yourself an entire moveset. A boomerang, a buzzsaw, sniper rifle, throw some spikes on the ground, do a little passive damage, throw whatever this thing is, stab yourself, give yourself some temporary HP, you can even get yourself your very own Mr. Zircon. I've got the similar complaint as with Breath of the Wild. If you take a break for like a week or 2, you are not going to remember anything you were doing or what you should do next. Also, Biowater is an abomination, and aside from the final boss and like maybe the dancer lady, this frog guy is probably one of the bosses who killed me the most. Or maybe it just feels like I died to him the most, because after you die to him, you gotta do this like whole run back, and don't get blown up by these green things, and don't fall into the icky water. And honey, I hope you took your parkour pills this morning. After like 3 minutes of that, you have to defeat 5 waves of enemies in this arena. And then you finally get to try the boss again. And then he takes away my ability to heal, and he times me out. I hate this guy, and he deserves the death sentence.
Dawn dish soap is the best dish soap ever. Dawn dish soap saved my life. It saved my cat's life. It saved my life. It saved my kids' lives. It might save your life. Dawn dish soap should be bought in every single house. See? Even she's grateful for Dawn dish soap. Buy Dawn today.
The Bazaar is a roguelike auto-battler, which means the gameplay looks like this. You have a board you can fill with different sized items that all have different purposes, whether that be damage or status effects, stuff like that. Bigger items obviously take up more space on the board, but they also usually have like better effects than the smaller items. Each item has a cooldown, and you can see the timer in battle with this little bar that rises up to the top, and when it hits the top, it does whatever the item says on it. Red means damage, orange means burn, yellow shield. It would be nice if there weren't 3 different greens you had to distinguish between, but oh well, there's only so many colors. You spend the in-game days going to different merchants or events to get new items and stuff, and you can store additional items in your backpack if you think you might want to have an item later, but not really like right now. Sometimes you fight a monster, but if you lose to it, you don't lose like the game. Losing to the monster just makes you miss out on loot. At the end of each day, they match you up against some random player that's on the same day number as you, and they pit your setup and their setup against each other to see whose setup wins. You start with 20 prestige, and if you lose to a human player, you lose prestige equal to the day number. If you hit 0 prestige, game over, you lose. If you beat 10 people's setups, you win. Lots of the items have some synergy with other items. Like as an example, let's look at Catfish. It inflicts 3 poison, but if you haste it with some other item, it gains 2 extra poison for the rest of the battle. If you find a duplicate item in a shop of something you already own, buying it will upgrade the one that you own. So for example, Catfish, if you level it up to silver, now he gets 4 poison from being hasted instead of just 2. Upgrade him again to gold, he gets 6, and then he gets 8 from being hasted at diamond. Some items you want to just let lay around in your backpack. Globe, just having it in your backpack, you'll get extra HP at the start of each day. There's different characters and they each have their own sets of items that synergize together in some way. Although some of the characters you have to buy with real dollars, so they basically don't count. And probably I would say 0 out of 5 game. One of my favorite aspects of the game is being able to enchant items. Enchanting items lets you put additional effects onto items. Like if you put a burn effect onto a heal item, so in addition to healing you, it also burns a little bit. If you enchant an item with an effect that it already has, like putting a poison enchantment onto a poison item, it'll just double the effectiveness of the item. You can get some pretty cursed or overpowered synergies going on when you enchant stuff. Let's look at this Jabalian drum that I enchanted with healing. No big deal, right? No, wrong. Big deal. The enchantment on the drum makes it so that whenever I use a weapon, I heal a little bit. And the reason that that's so important is because of these 2 things. My Atlatl, whatever that is, has a very short 1-second cooldown at the moment, and the textiles make it so that whenever I heal, any adjacent item to the textiles gets 1 second of its cooldown skipped instantly. So, use Atlatl, heal from the drum, which procs textiles, which charges Atlatl 1 second, which, for those of you playing at home, is the entirety of its cooldown. So, what do you think that means for this battle?
Fight me again. I must repeat the experiment.
Sorry if you got it wrong. All these options were probably equally likely. Repo! Gotta say, multiplayer game of the year, 100%. Thanks, Xander, for buying it for me, by the way. Also, not to spoil anything, but this is the highest game on the list that actually came out in 2025. It's the classic spooky, scary game with proximity chat, but instead of filming a YouTube video like smelly old content warning, you bring valuables to the extraction point in each level, either by using the cart or just carrying it there with your little robo physics gun. And while you're busy doing that, you also have to hide from the monsters that roam around, not get killed by them. But if you want, you can also buy weapons from the shop and then fight back against those foul monsters. Huh? Lethal Company, you say? Yeah, I guess. Kinda, yeah. Although I think Repo lends itself a lot more to wacky shenanigans than Lethal Company does.
Hello.
I really like the physics aspect of everything. Like how if you want to hit a monster with a baseball bat, you don't just click. You gotta like build up momentum with your mouse and really whack them with it. Or like how if you're carrying something and you drop it, it might shatter. Or if you hit something against a door frame, it'll lose some of its value. And there's some really large objects that are too heavy for just one person to lift, so you have to get multiple people working together. It's another good use of the physics. Even if it's a little laggy or janky in multiplayer, it still always makes for some funny moments.
Hey, you're missing something and it glows blue.
I'm missing something? Oh. Another thing that's cool is that there's a lot of opportunities you can just kind of go AFK if you really need to. Like, you can even just do it in the middle of a level if you want. Just hide under this table and probably monsters won't get you. I'm sure you'll be fine. The early levels only take like 5 to 10 minutes to beat, but as you get further into the game, there's more extraction points and more items and more monsters, and it'll take closer to like 30 minutes to beat a level sometimes, which can either be fun or exhausting depending on your current mental state. There's not really like an end to the game technically, you just kind of play until you die, and I'm pretty sure the difficulty maxes out at like level 20, but you can save your progress, which is pretty cool, and you can even have multiple games saved at once, and you don't have to delete any of your saves if you don't want to. Whenever I play by myself, I use some mods to make the experience less stressful. Like a mod that makes enemies show up on the minimap. Makes the game way easier. But don't judge me, I still think it's fun. I don't like using mods like that in multiplayer though. So much of the fun comes from being surprised by the monsters, and I wouldn't want to ruin that. Gotta be Huntsman.
We're gonna be Huntsman? Get out the way.
Huntsman Spider? Well, we found him.
Also, they recently came out with an update that lets you unlock cosmetics you can wear as you play through the levels, but guys, did we really need to break them into this many individual pieces? Like, more customization options is nice and all, but I do not get a rush of dopamine to my brain when I open a cosmetic box and I get like a left eyelid. I'm sorry, there's no shot I'm ever gonna put that on until I get the matching right eyelid. Oh yeah, shoutouts to the shop also. The shop and all the things you can buy there are awesome. The upgrades, the weapons, the drones, they're all sick. If you want a tier list for every single valuable, never mind, I'm not doing that. Let's just show another hilarious clip, and then we'll fade out and go to the number 2 game on the list.
What the heck?
Don't test me! Whoa! That's the scariest thing I've ever seen!
What did you just do?
Nice wholesome title screen, right? What I'm about to show you is literally the first thing you see when you pick a save file. I cannot stress enough that there is no additional context that you receive before you see this. What the heck? Isn't this chick on the box art of that game? I kinda thought she was gonna be like alive the whole time. Well, she is. Because they do one of those classic, you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Rewind back, and now you just spend the rest of the game wondering why this guy Alm is gonna stab Celica through the chest at the end. And I'm gonna pull a similar trick by not telling you until I'm done talking about everything else in this game. Yes, believe it or not, those sword guys from Smash Brothers do have their own video game franchise. I ain't never played a Fire Emblem game before, but this one was pretty dope. Grid-based, turn-based, strategy game, kind of like chess, but if it was nothing like chess. There's this strange quirk with the turn-based combat, and I'm sure some other games do this, I just can't think of any. Whenever someone uses their turn to attack an enemy, the enemy gets to attack you right back. unless you snipe them with a bow unit or something. But it makes it so that you never really feel safe, even when it's your turn. Sometimes taking your turn is just as scary as when the enemies get a turn. Obviously all the stats are pretty important, but the one that I think is the most important, personally, is speed. If a unit has even just one speed higher than another unit, they get to attack twice. Even if they weren't the one who initiated the fight, they still get to attack twice. Here's another funny thing. Ever heard of crits? Critical hits? Ever heard of those? Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I would say a crit in a game usually means double damage. But they cranked up the funny meter for this one, because in this game, crits are triple damage. Most of the enemies have very low crit chances, but that just makes it even funnier when you attack an enemy expecting them to hit you back for 18 damage, and all of a sudden they get a 3% crit, and now you're taking 54. Oops, Tobin doesn't have that much HP, he's dead. Kinda makes way more sense now that Marth's Final Smash is literally just him getting a crit. Crits are busted sometimes. And despite that, they still have the gall to include not only a hard mode option, but also separately an option to make it so that if one of your units gets killed during a battle, they stay dead for the rest of the whole game. What the heck kind of Nuzlocke challenge is this, dude? At the start, Alm and Celica are kids living in the same village, and they're talking like, oh wow, I hope we're friends forever and we never get into any disagreements and we'll always be there to support each other no matter what. Then little Celica has to leave the village because reasons. Alm has decided he is bored and he wants to overthrow the government. So he gathers up all his friends from the village who are no doubt emotionally prepared for bloodshed. And they... But wait a second, who the heck are you? Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned this yet, but this game is a 3DS remake of the second ever Fire Emblem. And this girl, Faye, just straight up wasn't in that game. But she's here now, and she's definitely something.
I'd rather spend time near Alm. Talking about Alm isn't fun unless Alm himself is there. Alm! You touched my hand. I was up all night thinking about it.
You can choose which class you want each of your starting villagers to be, and then as you play, you keep recruiting more and more new people to your squad.
I've always wanted to know more about cows and pigs and such.
Whew, she's going to be a handful. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Kill some enemies, get XP, level up. What a novel idea. They're saying it's the first game to ever do this. After a couple hours of that, Alm takes control of his castle, and he's like, you know, let's just chill here for a while. That's when they hit you with the boom plot twist. This game is actually 2 games, because now you're playing as Celica, and she's got her own separate group of people, and separate money counter, and separate inventory. Unlike Alm, Celica doesn't want to wage war. She wants to resolve the conflict peacefully, by seeking the advice of the goddess or something like that. Although she still do be killing people like 24/7, so she's not achieving her goal super well. And if you're the kind of person that likes learning what other things voice actors and actresses do, the VA for Celica also voices these people.
But he was different from the others who have come after me, and I fear he won't be the last, so we'd best be extra careful moving forward.
On her journey to 8510 Goddess Street, or wherever that lady lives, Celica ends up passing by the same castle that Alm just overtook. And somebody there recognizes her and tells her she should go say hello to Alm. Everyone's happy, oh my gosh, wonderful reunion, I haven't seen you in 7 years, so on and so forth. But uh-oh, it turns out we have conflicting worldviews. So they separate. Now the rest of the game, you go back and forth playing as Alm's group and Celica's group as they both try and get up to the north. The characters in this game be stimming for real. Every time you get into a battle, the first time you select each individual unit, they'll say a line.
The mother walks with me.
and they say the same gosh dang thing every single time.
The mother walks with me.
I've gotten to the point where I've been annoyed hearing the lines so many times that I've been Stockholm Syndrome looped back around to loving all of them.
Alright, let's go.
I'm ready for anything.
Just say the word. Ready anytime.
Nothing will stop me.
I'm ready to roll.
Allow me.
Allow me.
Easy pickings.
I'll take care of it.
At your service.
Fine, twist
I'll
my
handle this
arm.
I'm
myself.
unstoppable.
Stand aside.
Come at me,
I'm
fools!
at the top of my game.
Seriously, you hear these so much? If you go into any of the battle tracks on YouTube, chances are there's going to be a bunch of people just reciting unit selection quotes in the comments section. The characters also have separate quotes for when you select them after they've gotten down to half health,
Sure, I'm still hyper. Let's go.
and for when they're at really low health.
I might be a little worn out.
I also really like the little dances that the character sprites do. My favorite is probably the little dance that the Saint class does.
Thanks for that.
Shut up, Jenny. Just because you're top tier in-game doesn't mean I have to like you. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, but I don't know if I would like any of the other Fire Emblems. It sounds insane to say that the one game I decided to play is the only one I would like, but I've just heard that most of the other ones are pretty significantly different from this one. Maybe I'll try another one at some point. I just know a lot of the newer ones have a bunch of dating sim stuff in them, and I'm just not really a fan of games where you get to decide the love interests for yourself or for other characters. I want my one sacred timeline of predetermined relationships, and I want no say in messing with that. Let's see. Anything else I wanted to mention? Yeah, I guess we can talk about that now. So near the end of the game, Celica discovers that the goddess is freaking dead. And so she goes to the guy that killed her, and she's like, what the heck, man? I wanted to talk to her. And the demon guy is like, oh, I'll let you talk to her if you give up your freaking soul to me. And she's like, sold. So she gets possessed and turned evil, and then Alm shows up and he has to stab her because she's evil now. Maybe not a very satisfying conclusion to the mystery of why she got stabbed in the intro, but now you at least know why, and hey guys, what the heck am I watching happen on my screen right now? She actually just straight up undies? Like, hello? The story's kinda whack, but the characters are really fun, and the gameplay is really fun.
You're not stopping me here.
A win's a win.
Alright, yeah, you probably already know what first place is gonna be, just put it on screen already. Oh yeah? Well, what do you think it is now? Feel free to be very surprised. No, I'm not going to pronounce it Balatro. Balatro, okay? I don't care if it's wrong. Terraria, don't at me. Also, if you play without high contrast cards on, I'm sorry, but I consider you an op. Sorry I started this segment with so much malice. I played this game for the first time on January 1st. Very first day of 2025, and we already peaked. I'm sure 2026 was exactly the same. Don't expect any kind of story from this game. The closest thing you're going to get to a story in Balatro is this banana, and I'm not even joking. Alright, Balatro for Dummies, here we go. Poker game, small blind, target score 300 points. I got 4 hands and 4 discards. Select cards, and either play them for points, or discard them to try and get better cards. I'll let you guess which resource each of those 2 decisions takes up. Different poker hands have different baseline scores. So for example, a flush has a baseline score of 35 chips and 4 malt. That's chips, that's malt. Try and remember those, that's like really important. The 2 numbers get multiplied together to calculate your final score, so by playing a flush, you would score 140. That kind of sucks, we aren't even halfway to the target score. Well, hold on, there's more to it than that, because the cards in the hand themselves also add additional chips. Numbered cards give chips equal to their number, face cards always give 10, and aces give 11. So after adding up the additional chips from the cards in the flush, now the math is 78 times 4, which is 312, and that's enough to beat the blind in just one hand. And you get some money after you win. Look, I got a bonus $3 because I had 3 hands left over. So winning in fewer hands is usually a better idea. Wrong, it's complicated. Maybe I don't really need the money right now, and I have jokers that get more powerful throughout the game the more hands I play. So I want to play 3 bad hands and then 1 really good one so that my jokers have more time to scale. Maybe I can actually make more money by playing more hands depending on what my deck is like or what my jokers are like. Like what if I have gold cards in my deck? Gold cards give you $3 if you beat the round with them in your hand but having not played them. So maybe I could use one of my hands as a sort of pseudo discard to try and fish for a gold card so that I get more money when I win. Even if I have to waste 2 hands trying to draw a gold card into my hand, that's still a net gain of $1. Okay, but what do you even use the money for anyways? There's a shop you visit after each round, and they've got all sorts of things you can buy to improve your run. Or all sorts of things that you can cry about not being able to buy because they're too expensive. Credit card in the Buffoon pack! Buy some new cards to add to your deck. Put new effects on the cards that are already in your deck. Strip a card of its identity and make it just like everyone else. Buy planets to increase the scores of your poker hands for some reason. Double your money and double your funny. But the most important thing to buy from the shop, depending on who you ask, is jokers. Jokers are like the main way you can start scoring more points. Sometimes they're just as simple as adding 4 malt, and sometimes they're obelisk. There's 150 jokers, each with varying levels of interestingness. Interestingness? That doesn't sound right. Yeah, that's a word. Use that one in the Scrabble next time. Here's an absolute hood classic Joker synergy right here. Smiley face, photograph, hanging Chad. Smiley face adds 5 to your mult when any face card in your hand scores. Photograph doubles your current mult when the first face card in your hand scores. And then hanging Chad makes your first card activate 2 additional times. So you get 2 more procs off of Smiley face and photograph. And the order of some of these jokers up here actually does matter. Both Smiley face and photograph trigger when I play a face card, but the reason Smiley face went off first is because it's further to the left in my joker slots. And if you're something of a mathematician, you'll know that adding 5 and then multiplying by 2 is better than multiplying by 2 and then adding 5. Anyways, you leave the shop, you've got your jokers, probably. After 2 normal blinds, you'll go up against a boss blind with some random gimmick. And sometimes that gimmick is very bad for you. After you beat a boss, your ante increases, and the required score to beat each blind goes up. If you get to ante 8 and beat the boss there, you can go into endless mode if you want, but pretty quickly you'll realize you need some insane scaling if you want to get far into endless. Something I really like about the game is that everything is very tactile. The way that things tip different directions depending on where your mouse is on them, the little jitter they do when your mouse moves on or off them, the fact that you can drag like almost anything around the screen just for fun. Like, did you know you could drag this around? Did you know you could drag this around? Even if you aren't interacting with things, they still have this nice little floaty idle animation that they do. And the sound design is real nice. I especially like the way that the scoring sound effects get higher pitched the more of them you activate in a single hand. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Blueprint and Brainstorm. They do very similar things, and they are definitely the 2 most overpowered jokers that there are. They both can mimic the abilities of other jokers, and that's really good because you can move them around during the course of the game to get way more out of them than you might first think. Start a blind with Blueprint copying Cartomancer to get 2 tarot cards, then move it over to Burnt Joker when you discard to level up your poker hand twice, then move it over to Business Card to get twice as much money from face cards, then on the last hand, move it over to your Scoring Joker so that you can actually beat the blind. Just having Blueprint basically doubled the effectiveness of all my other Jokers. There are different decks you can choose to play that sort of act like different characters. They each have their own little gimmicks or strengths and weaknesses, but not all decks are created equal. Plasma deck, white stake difficulty? I freaking snooze, bro. This is child's play. Black deck, gold stake difficulty. Okay, well that... Black deck... You only get... How am I... Yeah, okay.
Wow, you suck at this.
We already spent like 10 minutes on Fire Emblem. Get out of here. There's also a challenges section where they make you play a run that has some wacky twist to it. I've beaten all of these except one. Guys, this is not fun. This feels like trying to win Uno with a blindfold on, and if you ever accidentally put down a card that doesn't match the current color, you have to pick it back up and skip your turn. Like, I know your decisions in this challenge do matter, but it really doesn't feel like they do sometimes. I would much rather get this other annoying achievement instead. Whenever you beat a run on the hardest difficulty, the Jokers you had at the end of the run get this gold sticker in the corner of them. And to get this achievement, you need to get that sticker onto every single Joker. Not really that hard, just kinda takes a while. Some Jokers aren't really any good, so it can be hard to get gold stickers onto them, but you can still manage to lug them along with you to the end sometimes if the rest of your setup is good enough. I like seeing the very clear endpoint and knowing the fact that I'm getting closer to it, even if it's really slow. I could probably beat Jokerless, but this is a serious monkeys on typewriters situation. Hey, speaking of things that are never gonna happen, Balatro update. Where's that at, guys? This is starting to look like a good contender to replace Silksong never releasing. There's also some mods I tried for Balatro, but other than Handy, which is literally a godsend, and it would be really hard to go back to playing without it, most of the mods are just okay. Usually they don't respect the game balance very well. A lot of them are like this one called Cryptid, and they go way too far. Your average run is going to look like a biblically accurate Balatro. This is like a Plants vs. Zombies modded thumbnail. There's literally a Joker in this mod that gains 4 chips when you reroll the shop, and makes rerolling the shop completely free. Even if they aren't insane to that extent, they usually have some mechanic that's way too overpowered, and sometimes it doesn't even feel like you're playing Balatro anymore. I guess that's about all I got. The game is fun, and it's got cinema baked into its DNA. Jarvis, put DNA up on screen. I know it might seem dumb or complicated, but you gotta try it sometime. I don't have an outro. Oh wait, yeah I do.